lovely people. Frank Valkyria here. Welcome to the channel. Yes, we got here an interesting video to check out together, evolution of romantic songs in Bollywood from 1950 to 2024. All right, suggestion, let's go. We don't waste time here.
छुपा के प्यार का तूफान ले चले जाने न नजर पहचाने जिगर ये कौन
53
दिल पर छा मोहब्बत कर लो जी भर लो आज किसने रोका है पर बड़े गजब की प्यार हुआ इकरार हुआ है प्यार से फिर क्यों डरता लेके पहला पहला प्यार भर के आंखों में खुमार जादू नगरी छोड़ दो आंचल जमाना क्या कहेगा हा इन अदाओं की लड़की भीगी भागी से सोती रातों में की नजर से नजरों की दिल से ये बात क्या है खोया खोया चांद.
Man, we're gonna get like 72 copyright claims on this video. All right, up to the 60, I have to say there is a lot of similarities also with the movies in black and white, and it's easy to see that there's much more traditional music, really like more attached to the orchestration of instruments that obviously recall the tradition, sitars and others, of course. The rhythm section as well, and they seem to be much more conservative in the sense of like those nice romantic comedies of the past. New decade 61 Hum Dono. Lata Mangeshkar. I've done Lata Mangeshkar. I've done a reaction on that. I think I did this one. Yep. I did the reaction to that one. You see the colors kicking in. Lata Mangeshkar is such a recognizable high voice, such a legend. All right, another detail, you can see the movies up to the 70s, they start to have colors, of course, still kind of a little bit the same. They reminisce also a little bit like the sense of those 70s, 60s comedies that you've seen from the States. But to me, most of the footage here looks like Super 16 millimeter rather than 35 millimeter. Probably at the time was also cheaper to shoot on Super 16. Lata Mangeshkar again. Blackmail. Look at those sideburns, man. Man, have you noticed how many Lata Mangeshkar are in these movies? It's really telling of such a huge star she is. What's up with you, computer? Why are you stuck? Lata Mangeshkar, 1979, another decade. Mohamed Rafi, also have seen it more movies. All right. It's interesting to see in this other decade, in the 70s and then early 80s, they were still like with those big necks and, you know, very 70s type of style. And I don't know if at a certain point you're going to start to see more video. Yeah, here we go. This looks like video. Might be wrong though. Ooh. You also notice the transition in the 80s, where you have the female, like, all right, I would say like up to the 60s, the way we've seen women portrayed in the movies, it was much more like, you know, kind of subtle. And all of a sudden, late 80s, you start to see much more, they start to be a little bit more naughty, you know, playful. They start to reveal more the curves and she's turning around in some movies, and then all the veils showcasing the feet and dancing a little bit more sensually, you know, like, so I guess you could see the difference in between also in the culture that opens up, right, to more of that type of cinema.
कितना पागल है ये प्यार तो चोरी चोरी दिल तेरा चुराएंगे अपना तुझे हम बना के दिल मेरा गोरिया चली तुझे देखा तो ये जाना सनम प्यार होता कितना प्यारा तुझे.
All right, here we are in through the 90s, mid-90s. I have one thing to say, obviously. It seems that those are the actors most of the time, and not always the singing matches with the actor, of course. So the singing is probably done by the singers, and the actors sort of mimic in the movie that they're singing themselves. But correct me if I'm wrong, because I've seen some artists which I think I recognize, they're very famous, but didn't seem to match with the name there. So I suppose that in some movie that's the case. Could be also in other movies that actually the actor is also singing. But just in case, correct me if I'm wrong.
एक दिन आप यूं हमको मिल जाएंगे फूल ही फूल आए तो आया मुझे याद गली में आज चांद निकला छुपा बादल में तुम दिल की धड़कन में
2000
रहते हो रछुआ मत्थम चांद जलने लगा कैसे लग जगले रात की चांद से मिलना बात करना बड़ा तेरे लिए जी हूँ वो लम्हे वो बातें कोई ना जान से बारिश जो करता हमारी देता वो तुमको बताए अगर कहूँ तुम सा हंसी कायनात में तुझ में रब दिखता है यारा मैं क्या करूँ तुझ मेरा होने लगा हूँ तेरे मस्त मस्त दो नैन तेरे दिल का ले गए चैन
It's funny because through the 2000s, up, you start to see those very familiar faces. I forgot his name, but there's Shah Rukh Khan or something. The other one guy was named, and those are the big stars. Probably still to this day, right? That they have a sort of like a monopoly on on Bollywood movies. They're the biggest stars, and you notice the, of course, the photography has changed, the video has changed, but interestingly enough, because of course there is still like some movies in the early 2000s that were sang by Lata Mangeshkar and other famous singers that we've seen through the decades, but the style itself hasn't changed dramatically, right? You can, like, some songs in the 2000s you could tell that a little bit more electronic vibe, trying to open up probably also to that kind of Latino vibe that was popular in those times in pop music. I think, maybe I'm wrong, but video-wise, of course, in the movies there is more difference, but sound-wise, not a great.
फिर ले आया दिल मजबूर क्योंकि तुम ही हो अब तुम ही हो जो तू मेरा हमदर्द है जो तू अगर तुम साथ हो.
Now you start to see that Arjit sign is basically in every movie. Yeah, Arjit sing like sign or sing like everywhere. Okay, obviously you can really. All right, I want to say Arjit sing sign everywhere here. Obviously, in the decade of the 2000s, from the 2010s on, you can hear like more electronic in the sound. You know, it's a little bit like when you see all that new age music coming out in the West, especially about spirituality or yoga and meditation, and you get all these tracks coming out which they try to mimic that vibe and tradition of the East, right? And then all of a sudden you see that through the Bollywood movies, they sort of pick up, like the circle closes, where you start to hear the actual music from which those new age tracks were made of, all of a sudden implement that type of new wave, new age type of sound, right? So it's a kind of like, whoop, the loop closes it. All right, the biggest difference here with the last song, of course, so much more modern in that way, and also a lot of the same singers, both male and female, doing a lot of work. So that's good. In India, once you get once you get to work on movies, that's a career. That's awesome, man. All right, it's a little bit quick. I don't know how we're gonna how it's going to be received. This video, it's very short. Let's hope there is not like 73 trillion copyright claims. Keep suggesting other stuff. Please subscribe. Also check some of my stuff out, some of my songs. I will really appreciate that. Really nice way to support the channel. I'll catch you later. Ciao.